Hey everyone, it's me Prabhu and my team 5, Rebecca, Samanvita, Samira, Octavia and Catalina. We're gonna present you presentation on status quo trap and how to avoid this.
Trap is defined as to catch someone or something either figuratively or literally. This trap is the tendency to rely on the first piece of information we receive in order to make a decision rather than looking for more information. This trap is also a result of the tendency to be more comfortable in a known environment than the unknown, and refer to the source of preferring one's environment.
The source of the status quo lies deep in the mindset and our desire to protect our ego from damage. These situations occur when people choose known facts over the unknown environment when there's the decision making. This trap mainly occurs due to the loss of aversion bias. As they consider their opinions, people focus and tend to opt more on what they stand to rather than what they are beneficial about it. The most recent example we as Team 5 discovered when we were watching the movie Fishing with Dynamite, where the movie was based on capitalism, where the multinational companies and the corporations, with their obsession with the short-term profits and their old practices, rather than concentrating more on the end goal. The main more reason for the source of the trap is exposure. Many studies show that people prefer a wide variety of things because they have exposure to these areas. And the other reason which the trap occurs is cognitive dissonance, which is also playing a vital role to cause this trap in decision making. Individuals tend to see an option or a way more valuable once they select it. Simply considering an alternative to the solution to the status quo can cause dissonance. This trap can also be explained by an example where the insurance companies choose the known plans, the people choose known plans over the unknown plans.
As already mentioned, the source of the status quo traps run in our desire to protect ourselves. Breaking the status quo means action, and when we act, we take responsibility. This opens ourselves to criticism. Not surprisingly, we naturally look for reasons to do nothing, maintaining the status quo, which represents in most cases the safety. Study shows that in many cases, individuals are more likely to choose the status quo when they have more than one option. So more options they are, the stronger will be the status quo. And others will choose, for example, the status quo when there are two alternatives to do instead of one, because choosing between one or another requires effort, and the status quo avoid that. That's why many leaders choose not to try to fix something that is not broken, to precisely maintain the status quo. But this choice also represents a risk because prevent the discovery of a better approach or a better strategy for the situation.
Why is this trap important? The status quo bias can make people resistant to change, but it can also have a powerful effect on the decisions they make. A status quo bias minimizes the risks associated with change, but it can also cause people to miss out on the potential benefits that might even outweigh the risks. The trap is important as it saves energy and makes things happen faster. The mental energy that needs to be expended becomes high, so we take a simple way by choosing the option we know. Hence, status quo makes things easier and carefree. It is also important to note that the status quo effect is pervasive in both inconsequential and major decisions. Oftentimes, we are held back by what we believe to be the safe option simply because it is the default. Bearing in mind our natural propensity for the status quo will enable us to recognize the law of inertia and more effectively overcome it.
Measure to avoid the status quo trap. Status quo bias affect all kind of decision from relative trivial choice to very significant choice. To avoid the status quo traps, evaluate the status quo alongside with the new option being considered as if were not the default option. Try to avoid the effort and cost to shift the alternative choice. Always evaluate the choice in the term of future as well as the present. The future, if you have the alternative research option, find which one is optimal for your decision and gonna not harm your alternative decision. Thank you.
To prevent committing the status quo trap, we designed a three-step path that decision makers should follow. First one, define the goals. Establish what are the objectives and develop a detailed framework. Afterwards, do a brainstorm of different approaches and strategies of how to obtain the desired results. Second one, evaluate the alternatives. Once different alternatives have been mentioned, develop and detail them in an objective way. In this step, the status quo can be spotted. It is relevant to highlight that people who have aversion to risk, high regret avoidance, and loss aversion are more likely to present the status quo trap. Third one, do a counterbalance. In order to take the best decision and avoid the status quo trap, compare the alternatives and select the one that fits the best with the goals. The best alternative can also be the default option, but make the decision in an objective way.